Welcome, everyone, to this week's learning session. This week, I learned about self-efficacy and why our beliefs about what we control matters. I'm going to be trying to answer 3 different questions. What is self-efficacy? Why is self-efficacy important? And how to raise your self-efficacy. This will become more clear once I explain that first point. The resources that I used this week were 2 books, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Daily Life and The Learning Brain, both of which I can highly recommend. I also used Wikipedia. So, let's get right into it. Self-efficacy and why your beliefs matter. What is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy at a very basic level is how highly you rate your ability to face a situation. This may seem too simple, but you're constantly using this evaluation to determine future decisions. For instance, whether you should file your taxes, how high is your ability at filing your taxes, and how difficult is that situation. And there already we notice that there's really 2 components to self-efficacy. First is your belief on how good you are at an ability, or how competent you are in general. And then there is how difficult is this task? Can I do it? And then you evaluate that. So in the case, I'm going to be presenting a couple of high self-efficacy cases and some low self-efficacy cases. First is a man with a chronic illness. In the case where the man believes that he has high control or high self-efficacy, he will feel confident that he can get back on track and improve his health. In the other situation, he may feel powerless and may think that as soon as it gets worse, the treatment isn't working. Same thing with the student with the math test. One, there's a very growth mindset, one who thinks that she is very much in control, so she'll learn and do well on the test. And the other is she'll think that she has very little ability to change the outcome of the test, even by studying. And this is basically summarized by the difference between a high self-efficacy and a low self-efficacy person is that the high self-efficacy person has a higher level of perceived control. So, why is self-efficacy important? This is an interesting example of how self-efficacy affects day-to-day life, and you'll find numerous examples of this. Children who grew up in a household with parents with tertiary education judge themselves considerably more favorably in their ability to cope with academia, which means their self-efficacy is higher. This leads to one of the craziest discrepancies that you'll see. 2.5 times, or 2.25 times, more likely are children of parents who have attained tertiary education to go to tertiary education. And it really doesn't stop there. There is scientific findings, and these will be provided in the comments as usual, that having a high self-efficacy results in developing deeper interest in the activities in which you participate, forming stronger sense of commitment to your interest and activities, and recovering more quickly from setbacks. Further, in general, self-efficacy will lead to a mindset where challenges are tasks to be mastered. And you can sort of maybe find a high self-efficacy mindset in your own life by thinking of a skill that you're good at. Do you see how it is easier for you to recover from setbacks in that field. I sure have examples of this in my life where if I think I'm good at something, I'll put a lot more work in. Now, the other reason self-efficacy is important is because the downside of it is what's close to a depressive mentality, which is challenge avoidance, avoiding challenging tasks, basically, believing that a difficult task and situations are beyond their capabilities, focusing more on your own failings, and quickly losing confidence in your personal ability. So constantly looking for evidence of you sucking at this. And maybe you can empathize with this too by thinking of a subject like math or just realistically any skill that you don't think you're good at, and notice how much less likely you are to start working on that skill and how much quicker you'll give up. So that's why it's important, but you know why it's the most important is because we can change your perceived level of how competent you are. And we can do this in 4 different ways. You can celebrate your success more. I do this, and I can highly recommend this to anyone. I love it. When I go to bed each night, I will make a list of the things that I did well in that day and just go, good job, Anton. That was very well done. Positive affirmations. Be positive to yourself. And for this, I've got a neat little trick developed as well, where on my morning walk, I will repeat the 3 phrases: I am in control, I am relaxed, and I am happy. And I know this sounds goofy, but I promise by it. It's really kind of ridiculous how quickly that raises your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. Now, the third one is probably the hardest to implement, and it's sort of noticing your feelings and thoughts. And I still struggle with this, but I'm getting to a point where when a negative thought comes to mind, like, you suck at this, or you're always lazy, that it immediately registers in my mind as a negative thought, and I can go, no, I'm not, which is a very effective way at sort of combating you shit-talking yourself. And lastly, and this is probably one of the most important ones, is that surrounding yourself with people who are positive and trying to grow will increase your belief that it is possible to control your outcome, because you see other people controlling their outcome. All right. Thank you very much for watching. If you think I went too fast over some sections or you didn't understand some of them, I do appreciate questions, because otherwise I'm just talking sort of into a void and I don't know which part you're resonating with and which part you're feeling. But the summary is basically your beliefs about yourself matter. So take care of what you believe and don't put yourself down. It will only make the situation worse. Lastly, you're in control, which is sort of, a little nice reference to this entire talk. You're welcome. You're welcome. Goodbye.